There is a $150 RC truck that will pull up next to an $800 one and clock the same number on the radar gun. The badge did not buy that speed, and today I am going to show you exactly what did. 7 ready-to-run RC trucks that embarrass rigs 5 times their price, why the price tag was never the reason they go fast, and the one honest catch that keeps this fair. RC car speed comes down to one formula, and money is not in it. Motor RPM is kV times voltage divided by your gearing, and a bigger tire rolls farther on every turn. That is the whole RC speed formula. A 4,000 kV motor on a 3S pack hits its number in a cheap brushless RC truck and a pricey one exactly the same, and you can feel the formula work. Put a bigger pinion gear on any of these and the top speed climbs right by the math, a couple of teeth for a couple of dollars, and you have got more miles an hour. That is not theory. It is the tuning knob in your hand. So what does $800 actually buy? Take the Traxxas X-Max, said Traxxas X-Max. It is really $1,100 to $1,200 to run once you add the $300 pair of batteries and the $200 charger. For that you get size, an 8S voltage ceiling, and a parts pipeline that lasts 10 years. That 8S ceiling is real top end and real air off the big jumps, and if that is your thing, the premium RC truck earns it. But most of us bash in a field and never touch it. Even Traxxas knows it, because their own Max 4S gives about 80% of the X-Max for half the money. One thing before we count down, every brushless RC rig here runs a LiPo, so never charge a pack unattended and never run it flat. Full rules at the end. Number 7 is the RC truck that wins by refusing to die, the Traxxas Rustler XL5. Brushed, about $190, and it still does over 35 miles per hour stock. The fast crowd writes it off because it is not brushless. Here's what they miss. Every part on it sits on a shelf in every hobby shop in the country, cheap, and it stays that way for years. You roll it on $3 gears every weekend while the exotic rig waits 2 weeks on a back-ordered part. And when you do want more, you drop a brushless system into the same RC truck instead of buying a new one. It does not beat the $800 truck on speed. It beats it on uptime, on the number of Saturdays you actually get to drive. The tell is simple. You can walk into a shop and buy the part today. That is how you know a cheap RC truck is really a platform. The next one cannot win a straight line, and it will still smoke a big backyard basher where it counts. Number 6, the little one that owns the corners, the Losi, said LOHC Mini T 2.0 brushless. 1/18 scale, about $200, battery and charger in the box, and it is ready to run right out of the package. A big 8S basher is savage in a straight line and a barge the moment it turns. This thing came out of RC racing, so it changes direction like it is on rails. On a tight track or a backyard course, it runs literal circles around RC trucks that cost 4 times as much. It runs a 2S brushless system, and it is happiest on pavement, packed dirt, or a track. The one catch, keep it off deep grass and big jumps, because 1/18 scale does not have the ground clearance for rough stuff. On the right surface, nothing near the price touches it. It is also small enough to run down a hallway when the yard turns to mud in winter, which is more than any big RC basher can say, and it sips so little that a cheap pack lasts and lasts. Number 5 is the value bomb. Almost nobody calls by its real name, the HBX Highboxing 16889A Pro. 1/16 scale, 1/16 scale, often under $130, and out of the box it already has a full metal drivetrain and oil-filled shocks. That is the exact gear people use to bolt onto a budget RC truck as a hop-up, done for you. Now the part that saves you real money. The same RC truck gets sold rebadged as the SG1601 and under a stack of Amazon names at higher prices. Same platform, different sticker. The only tax there is the logo. One thing to watch, the parts are tied to that one seller, so when a listing dries up, your spares dry up with it. So buy the A Pro version on purpose, the one with the metal gears and the oil shocks, not the plain brushed model, and you have got the most RC truck per dollar on this whole list. Number 4. The Pocket Rocket, the MJX Hyper Go 16207. 16th scale, a 2845-4200 kV brushless motor, a 45 amp ESC with a heatsink, and a LiPo in the box. Low 40s miles per hour on a 3S pack, out of a ready-to-run RC truck that runs about $130. The $800 rig is bigger and tougher, no argument. But foot for foot and dollar for dollar, this little RC thing flat out goes. It ships with a small pack and a wall charger, so the very first thing to add is a bigger 3S pack and a real charger. Do that, and your $130 RC truck rips all afternoon. That is the move. Spend the savings on batteries, not on a more expensive truck. That is the whole point of this list, in one move. The cheap RC truck and the pricey one run the same kind of motor and the same chemistry pack, so you put the price difference into batteries and track time, and you outdrive the guy who left it all at the register. Quick one, halfway in, drop your cheapest RC rig and what it runs with in the comments, and I will tell you straight whether it is punching above its weight or just loud. Now the heavy hitters. Number 3, the RC buggy that runs with the big dogs. The Arma, said AR-MU. Typhon, said TY-Phon. 3S, 8th scale, 1/8 scale, 50 plus miles an hour, around $340. On smooth pavement or hardpack, it sits right on the bumper of RC trucks that cost $1,000. The big 8S monsters only pull away when that high voltage ceiling opens up, and most of us never use it anyway. Now the quiet bonus. The Typhon shares its platform with the Senton and the Granite, so spares cross over the whole Arama family, and the shops stock them deep. That platform family comes out of Horizon Hobby, which means the parts pipeline is real. The one thing to watch, a buggy likes smoother ground than a monster truck, so if your spot is all rocks and curbs, size up to the truck version. On a field or a lot, the buggy is the sweeter drive, and most of the RC bashing fun for a third of the money. Number 2, the smartest money in RC bashing, the Arma Senton, 3S. 10th scale, 1/10th scale short course truck, the BLX 100 system, a 3,200 kV motor, and a 100 amp ESC, 50 plus miles per hour, around $320. Plenty of cheap RC trucks are fast. This one is also cheap to keep fast. When you break something, and you will, the common parts run $8 to $25 and show up in a couple of days. That is the spec that actually beats the $800 RC truck, the repair bill. The current version is the 223S, which replaced the older V3 with stronger hardware, so make sure you are grabbing the new one. This is the RC truck I hand anybody who asks for one rig that does everything. Fast enough to scare you, tough enough to take it, cheap enough to fix. A rig you can afford to crash is a rig you actually send. And number 1 is the RC truck that makes grown men double-check the price tag. The MJX Hyper Go model 14210. 14th scale, a 2,852 4,400 kV brushless motor, steel diff outdrives, a metal gearbox, an aluminum chassis, 2 body shells in the box. On a 3S pack, it hits right around 50 miles an hour. The price is about $150. That is 50 miles an hour, and real metal guts for the cost of dinner for 4. The metal gears and oil shocks that used to be $100 of RC hop-ups are just standard here, so the only upgrade it genuinely needs is a bigger battery. Now the honest catch, because I promised you one. It ships with a tiny pack, around 1,000 milliamp hours, so the run is short, and the spare parts are locked to one brand's listing instead of the whole hobby. It wins the drag race and loses the long haul. But for raw RC speed per dollar, nothing wearing a price tag 5 times bigger can look it in the eye. And it is 3S ready out of the box, so the upgrade path is just a bigger pack and a fresh pinion, not a new RC truck. On a smooth lot, this little 14th scale rig will pace a 1/10th scale RC truck that costs 3 times as much, and the only person who can tell the difference is the one reading the price tags. Because every RC truck on this list runs a LiPo, treat the battery right and it stays the fun part, not the scary one. Charge it on a balance charger, never walk away while it charges, and keep it in a LiPo bag. Never run it below 3.0 volts a cell, and park it at storage voltage, around 3.8, whenever it is going to sit. A puffed pack is finished, so retire it. And on the cheap RC minis especially, that little stock pack and its wall charger are the weak link, so a second pack and a real charger are your first 2 buys. So, one line to walk out the door with. RC speed is kV, voltage, gearing, and tire size, never the price. The $800 RC truck earns its money on size, parts, and abuse, not on the speedometer. Match the spec to what you actually do with the thing, and a cheap RC rig will embarrass almost anything on the shelf. Drop the cheapest RC truck you own that punches way above its price down in the comments, the one that genuinely shocked you the first time you opened it up. I want the whole list, because at the end of the day, both RC trucks read the same number on the radar gun. One driver spent $800 to get there. The other spent $150, and he is still holding the rest of it. Pronunciation note, reference only. Traxxas, said Traxxas. X-Max, said X-Max. Max, said Max. Rustler, Ruskler. Arma, Armo. Centon, Cienton. Typhon, Typhon. Granite, Granite. Lozy, Lohc. Mini T, said Mini T. MJX, spell the letters. Hypergo, said Hypergo. 14210 and 16207. The MJX model numbers. HBX, spell the letters. High Boxing, 16889 A Pro, the HBX model. SG 1601, the rebadge. 223S, the current Centon. RTR, spell the letters. ESC, spell the letters. KV, spell the letters. RPM, spell the letters. LiPo, said Leah Po. 2S, 3S, 8S, said 2S, and so on. Milliamp hours, said in full. BLX 100, said BLX 100. 2852 and 2845, the motor cans. 4400 kV and 4200 kV, the motor speeds.